Hey there everybody, how are we all doing? This afternoon, Respawn has decided to put out a list of patch notes for Titanfall's title update number 4. Now in this video, I'm going to be looking at all the particular weapon changes as well as ordnance changes, and my personal thoughts on them. If you wanted to see the entire patch notes in all their glory, then feel free to follow the link in the description box below right now. If you wanted to see my personal thoughts on all the weapons, then stick around. So, first things first, satchel charge damage has been reduced against pilots. This is still going to kill a pilot caught really close to the center of the explosion, but the fall off is going to be a lot more severe, meaning that you got to be a lot more accurate with your satchels to get those one-hit kills. The number of hit markers you're going to be getting with satchels without kills is going to potentially be increasing by a large margin. Now, your damage versus Titans is not being changed whatsoever. This is a change that I am very, very much for. I love satchel charges. You know, I'm one of those jerks that always uses satchels. You know, people that play competitive yell at me all the time, why are you using satchels? Put them down. Play like a real player. You know, so I'm one of those that just kind of doesn't care 80% of the time. I've been trying not to use them, but you guys don't care. The point is, satchels are getting a nerf now, and I'm very, very interested to see how that is going to affect the competitive scene. You know, if they're going to still be banned, or if they're going to move to maybe a one set of satchels per team, like they have shotguns, or maybe two sets of satchels per team, or if they're going to be completely allowed. That's something that I'm really, really excited to see discussed over the next couple of days. Next up, we have the shotgun. The shotgun is now going to do a little bit less damage at mid-range. So basically, it was able to win too many fights versus people that were using stuff like a car SMG or a carbine for mid-range. It was just a little bit too good. I mean, it's not terribly overpowered or broken. It's just slightly too good. So they wanted to kind of basically bring up the percentage chance that if you're using a quote-unquote real gun that you're going to win versus a shotgun at those longer ranges. So that's an interesting change there. We'll have to see how it turns out. Next up, we have an R101C Carbine nerf. This is something that I've been very secretly hoping for ever since the beta of this game. I've not liked the R101C. I've always thought that it's overpowered and unfair, and I've always gotten a little bit salty whenever somebody kills me with it and beats me out in a gunfight. At any range, just because I feel like it's just too much of an all-purpose weapon. It's too good at every range, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like being killed by it, and I always felt overpowered when using it. So they're slightly adjusting it now, so it's going to have a little bit more recoil when you're firing at longer ranges, which is excellent, because it seemed like people could spray me down at full auto or near full auto in like 5-6 round bursts and kill me as fast as somebody with a longbow could, with nowhere near the level of accuracy that a longbow would require. In addition, the mag size is being dropped from 30 to 24, so then your extended magazine is going to bring your ammo from 24 up to 30 now, which was the quote-unquote old maximum without it. So that seems like some very, very harsh nerfs to the R101C. I would think that it would be kind of one or the other from these changes, but not quite both. But as a person that's made always very, very salty by the R101C, I guess I'm not complaining too much. It was definitely too much of an all-purpose weapon, so now it's still very good at being an all-purpose, but you have a little bit more difficulty in using it, as well as a smaller mag size to make it, you know, much more punishing when you miss your target. So overall, I'm happy with the change. Maybe a little severe, but we'll have to see how it turns out. Now, next up we have R97 Buffs. I am very, very, very excited about these. The R97 has, over the past few weeks, actually over the past month now at least, has become probably my favorite weapon in the game, besides the Kraber. And I never really felt like it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't strong enough, or, you know, or that it was imbalanced in any way, but Respawn has not really agreed with me in that. They think that it needs some fairly significant buffs. So what we're going to be seeing now is an R97 fire rate buff across the board. So with or without scatterfire, you're going to be seeing a fire rate increase from its already insanely high rate of fire levels. So its time to kill is going to be dropped very, very significantly and make it even more competitive to the car than it already was. In addition, they've sped up the aim down sights time, so it's now the fastest aim down sights weapon in the entire game. which is an interesting statistic that I'm reading on these patch notes. I'm not sure if that means that it's even going to be faster than the pistols or not. Maybe it'll be on par with them, but regardless, the aim down sight speed is getting a buff, so that's great. But an even bigger change, which is, I have absolutely no idea why they're making this, but I mean, I'm very happy about it regardless, is that they're increasing the damage that it does to Titans when rodeoing them. So now the R97 is going to be the second fastest Titan killing weapon in the entire game besides the LMG. So really, really, really interesting change there, and I'm definitely excited to see where that goes. Next up, we got some Hemlock buffs. I'm really, really excited about all these. What we're going to be seeing with the Hemlock is, initially what the Hemlock would do is at closer to medium ranges, you would always have a 4-shot kill versus enemy pilots, assuming no headshots. And at longer ranges, the damage fall-off would drop it down to 5 shots to kill. What they're doing now is changing the damage profile on the Hemlock, so it's always going to be a 4-shot kill at any range, no matter what. And that's without a silencer. With a silencer, it's always going to be 5-shot kills at any range. Doesn't matter. In addition to those changes, we're going to be seeing a decrease in the recoil of the Hemlock. So it's going to make it so much better to use. It's going to be a lot easier to use, a lot easier to handle, and I think we're going to see a lot more people using the Hemlock after these changes. I'm certainly extremely excited to try it out, because the Hemlock is a weapon that appeals to me very greatly, but I just feel like it wasn't competitive before. So now that I'm able to be a little bit more accurate at range with it, as well as be more lethal at range with it, I'm excited to give it a shot, and I think all you guys should be too. In addition to that, we're also seeing some Hemlock, or amped Hemlock, changes as well. So previously, with an amped Hemlock, if you were in close quarters combat, you would have a 3-bullet kill at all points in time, and when you were at a longer range, it would drop to 4. Now the amped Hemlock is going to be a 3-shot kill at all ranges, no matter what, and this is not even accounting for headshots. Next up, we have some really, really, really awesome G2A4 changes. I'm excited about these. Now, it's not the damage buff that people have been wanting, but we're having, with the match trigger attachment, your magazine size is being bumped up to 12 from 8. So now the weapon isn't completely friggin' useless with a match trigger outside of like point blank spam range. You know, you can actually, you know, if you wanted to post back and take some slower, more controlled shots, you have some more margin for error there, which the G2A4 desperately needed. So I'm really, really happy about that. In addition, it's also getting a damage profile buff over range, so it's still going to be a 3-shot kill at close to medium ranges. This is not accounting for headshots whatsoever. Your headshots are still going to be 1-shots. But at long ranges, it used to take 4 shots with the G2A4. That's being changed to 3, so great change there. And with the silencer, you're just going to add 1 bullet to that. So it's going to be 4 shots at any range, whereas previously at long range it used to be 5. So 3 shots without a silencer, 4 with a silencer, and match trigger is going to increase your mag size to 12 from 8. I guess increase isn't the proper word. It would decrease it from 14 to 12 instead of from 14 to 8. So there you go. There's that. Oh, in addition, your G2A4, the amped version, is going to always kill an enemy and 2 pilots at any range. You know, you could be in complete opposite sides of training ground and, you know, 2-shot somebody with an amped G2A4, no problem now. Before it used to be 3 sometimes, but now it's always going to be 2. Next up, we have some plasma railgun changes. Now, it's not really I mean, I guess you could call this a buff. Basically, when you're aiming down sights, your field of view is not going to zoom in quite as much. So I don't know if they're going to make a fisheye kind of effect, so the center of your screen is still zoomed in, but you have better peripherals, or if they're just going to completely pull the zoom all the way back. But basically, what they want to do is while you're aiming down sights and holding your charge on that railgun, you're going to have better situational awareness around you. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this change. That seems to me like they are kind of recognizing that there is a fundamental flaw in the railgun and that you have to be aiming down sights to do pretty much anything productive with it, because you have to charge it while aiming down sights instead of holding, say, your fire button to charge it and releasing to shoot like you would with an arc cannon. So I think there's some weird overlap between the railgun and the arc cannon that I don't know if it was entirely intended or not, and this seems like an odd kind of bandage on the issue, but I suppose for Xbox users who don't have the option to bring their FOV out, this is going to help them tremendously to track targets, and it's still going to help for PC users as well, because the max FOV is only like 90, so it's not very much anyways. So it's going to help everybody. It's certainly not a nerf by any means. I mean, unless, I don't know, I don't really know anybody who's using the the railgun at such a long range that the little bit of zoom-in changes are going to really negatively affect them. Most of them are using it at close enough range that I don't think they're going to care. I think they're going to rather have that extra situational awareness. So there's that. And finally, we actually have some big punch changes, and the language of this patch note, well, this particular note within the patch notes, I guess you would call it this bullet point, maybe? Yeah, I guess I'll go with bullet point. The language is not entirely clear. Let me just read this for you word for word, and you can take it however you think it should be taken. So, Big Punch, we've taken a look at complaints about the Big Punch kit, and decided to adjust it. Big Punch was especially problematic when an ogre was dealing the punch. It did enough damage to destroy the shields of a strider and still do a chunk of damage to the strider's permanent health. Spamming Big Punch as an ogre also let it travel around at speeds higher than intended. Let me stop you right there. No, it kind of didn't. Your maximum velocity when sprinting and when Big Punching were exactly the same, as I've proven in a previous video before. So I'm not sure what exactly they're talking about there. Maybe it's just the acceleration of it. That could be what they mean, but the language isn't entirely clear. I don't know exactly what they mean with this point. Anyways, continuing the quote. As such, we've decided to weaken Big Punch effects significantly when taken as an ogre. The Atlas and Strider didn't need as large of a change, so we've only made small adjustments to Big Punch's effects when applied to the Atlas and Strider chassis, end quote. Okay, so I don't know if that means that they're changing the mobility aspects of it, or if they're changing the damage, because they did talk about the damage when it pertains to Ogre. I don't know what the exact changes here are going to be, so let me know in the comment section below. What are you speculating these changes are going to be? Because I certainly am not sure. I don't want to speculate and, say, well, it's obviously the damage, or it's obviously the mobility, because it could be either one, or it could be kind of both, and I'm really not so sure. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all these changes, and especially the Big Punch one. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you learned something new. Please like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. And anyways, we'll see you next time. Thanks.